Hello, I'm Scott McLachlan, and welcome to all our listeners to this slightly different Play Up podcast. This one we are calling, perhaps with more than a little drama, Pompey in Crisis. It's probably not too much of a stretch to say Pompey started the season much better than last season, and after a home win against high-flying Borough and an away win against Leicester, Pompey fans were rightly saying that we looked like a comfortable mid-table team and the fears of relegation were a thing of the past. However, following the latest defeat away at Sheffield United and a run of 7 games with only 1 win, fans are questioning the management, squad selection, and also the ambition of the club. And we at the Play Up podcast wanted to do a deep dive on the current situation. So joining me again to either pour water or petrol on the flames are Phil, Jamie, and Reese. Welcome, chaps.
Good evening.
I hope you're all very well.
Yes.
Back problems for you, Jamie. I sympathise. I hope you're comfortable there, sitting comfortably. So
I'm getting over gout.
Oh yeah, I suffer from that occasion
I couldn't
myself.
walk for 2 days. That was fun.
Yeah, it's not very nice. Yeah, Pompey played Millwall at home and secured a really good 3-1 win from obviously the best performance in a long time. And Jamie, 2 goal of the season contenders already from our makeshift left backs. What did you make of the game?
You mean our inverted inside forward right backs, lefty right backs? Yeah,
that's the one.
Yeah,
is that the formation in Football Manager that would?
Yeah. So when you've got a righty on the left that cuts in, he's an inside forward. So these are our lefty inside forward. Yeah, well, whatever. Did we win or did the weather? There's my first question. Yeah, it was good. It was great. We didn't create any chances up front, other than obviously our young Australian. I still put that down to it as a wonder goal for him. There's no way that's going as an own goal on my list. And the 2 fantastic cracking goals from the lefty right backs, really good. But again, my concern is that we aren't creating chances up front, and when you're relying on your lefty right backs to get your goals for you. It was fantastic to get a win though, so I don't care about anything else other than that. But yeah, if I had to, and often do moan, that would be my criticisms.
Yeah, so for the first time in a long time, I think we had our pressing game feel really, really working well. Bianchini on the right, Murphy on the left, Segicic behind Bishop. But I think perhaps Schmidt coming back and playing out from the back better than perhaps Bursic does might have made a difference, do you think?
Yeah, quite possibly. I think most people thought it was inevitable, slightly harsh, but inevitable that Bursic would lose his place. But I think the thing that apart from the way he plays out from the back, the other thing about Schmidt that's good is he does command the area slightly better. Bursic, brilliant shot stopper and fairly decent distribution. But I think the thing with Schmidt is he does give you that sort of air of confidence. I'll have to disagree with Jamie, unfortunately, about Segicic's goal, because it was the only time I think in the last 6 weeks I've seen Colby Bishop take up a dangerous position from a cross, and I think if it hadn't ballooned off the defender's leg, he's just going to tap it in at the back post, and the goal shout would have been over. So I thought great for Segicic, but yeah, unlucky for Colby in that case.
My son was saying it was Colby's goal. I mean, we're quite a long way away from it compared to you, Phil. And we didn't know it had crossed the line. We thought Bishop was bundled it in. So we were celebrating a Bishop goal at last, only to be told it was an own goal. So yeah, me and my son were quite disappointed that Bishop hadn't, scored from 1 yard or something. But yeah, it was definitely a wicked deflection. But like you say, I think it would have been a really good cross. Had it not got a deflection, and who knows what would have happened. Hopefully Colby would have got on the end of it. So as well as we played on Saturday, we come to Sheffield United on Wednesday night, and I think we were all on the WhatsApp saying just how poor and shit it was. But at least Sheffield United were just as bad as we were, and it was kind of really it was like to use a boxing analogy, Jamie, it was like two poor heavyweights just clinching and pushing each other away and trying to land the odd blow, but not really trying to box, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think at one point you messaged a group and said this game's awful, and I had to remind you that we are awful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, have mostly been.
I think I was. I don't know. I know. At least one of us switched off during the match and just couldn't handle it anymore. I tried to bear it purely because of tonight, but it was just absolutely dire. And backed up what I was saying a minute ago, I just think we lack the ability to create chances. We just not got enough creativity going on. I was really disappointed to see. For me, Callum Lang looked our best player again. He looked the best player that Portsmouth own in the Millwall match. I was disappointed to see our best player on the bench, arguably equally or next best player, was switched over from his natural position. That wouldn't have done his morale any good for starters. So for me, that's bad management. Andy played. He didn't play well there. We had our next two experienced players in Pack and possibly Swift, both sat on twiddling their thumbs. And we had our most creative, positive young player taken off at half time so we could make way for a defender when we were 1-0 down and 10 men down. I mean, at that point there, to me, we needed Segicic. He's at the moment he looks like the only player on that pitch. Him, Murphy, or possibly Lang that have got absolutely any idea how to create a chance whatsoever. So for me, I was screaming, actually screaming at the telly, and I think you boys got a few expletives from me. I was just very angry, yeah, and I said
You weren't
to you,
the only one swearing.
Yeah, good, yeah, and I love John Messini. I really do. I think he's done an amazing job with with a really horrific budget, but to me, he really didn't do any favours. I'm sure there's a lot of really good reasons. Like Lang wasn't, injured. Maybe Murphy's left foot was playing up. I don't know, but for whatever reason, I was just furious with some of the managerial, and squad selection decisions. And not much more to say about it. It was horrific.
Reece, it was exactly the same as one of the games, or a few of the away games that we suffered last season. So Stoke and Cardiff, to come to mind, and there were plenty of others, but particularly Stoke and Cardiff were our midweek away trips. In both games, it started badly and then completely fell apart. Obviously, Mousinho said that we were in the game up until the sending off. I mean, it wasn't much of a game up until that point, was it?
No, it wasn't, and it was a terrible game, and it was poor from both teams. Let's be realistic, and kind of after the game, Sheffield United were not tearing us apart. They had the odd chance or that also, but they weren't tearing us apart. It was a horrible game, and the fact is we conceded all three goals. We had 10 men on the pitch. We haven't won there for 70 years. They had £10 million cannon up front. They had Bamford for Leeds. They had Ings, experienced Premiership striker. Hamer came back on and scored a worldie. And I think it's really, it was frustrating to watch, but I'm not too overly worried about it, or wasn't as angry as some of the people on here, because we had 10 men on the pitch. And I think Devlin could do with some acting lessons, because as soon as it hit, you could see he was guilty. He's going to be sent off. But whether he could have done anything to kind of get away with it or not, I don't know. I mean, yes, they're below us, but there'll be a team in the top six, I reckon, by the end of the season, easy. And their budget, they're just on another level. And I think if the fact he was against 10 men, I think Mousinho kind of knew at half time maybe that it was damage limitation. I mean, you'd be very lucky to get something from a game at ground you haven't won for 70 years against 10 men. So I think, yes, he did make some substitutions, and we know he manages the season. We do have those games, so I wasn't too worried about it. And so it was a horrible game. I get that, but I think the next 5 games are more important, and let's see where we can get our players back. And I think fitness came into it, and he just thought, okay, let's write this one off and let's look to Saturday. But the defending at set pieces, I think maybe something we'll touch on later, is just not good at all at the moment.
Who can remember that Newcastle, talking about acting, that Newcastle defender that threw himself to the floor like he'd been shot when he handled on the line 20
It
odd
was big
years ago?
centre back. Was it Taylor?
Yeah.
Was it Taylor? It was
Dunno.
big centre back, wasn't it?
You know, that's that he could have won a football Oscar for that. Didn't work because the referee sent him off anyway. But it was better than Devlin just pulling his shirt over his head and holding his hands on his head.
It was a game defining moment. I don't care what you say, and yes, okay. I mean, teams battle and defend and all this kind of stuff, and yeah, the quality wasn't great, but it also wasn't. They were hitting long balls, weren't playing particularly well as well. So it's really hard to be, I think, to be critical when we. I mean, if we were 2-0 down and we had somebody sent off, that's a bit different. But we were still in the game, so. But yeah, just one of those games where it's like, don't do anything stupid, and it's like, great.
Yeah, he did something stupid.
See,
Phil?
I actually had Devlin as our man of the match because I thought he was the only person who did anything to stop Sheffield United from scoring on the night. So fair play to him. And
I think there was a few. Go on.
I was going to say. I know you got a few digs last night for threatening to turn over and watch. I think it was the Arsenal game, which would probably be
Liverpool. No, I want because I knew Liverpool would lose, so I wanted to watch them lose.
Yeah, but I got a message at half time from my friend Rich, who Jamie knows, and he said I might. His exact words were, "This is awful. This is absolutely awful. I'm going to turn over and watch Ruby Wax chew an anus," and that's obviously a reference to I'm a celebrity and not something from his own personal video collection.
No. Well, at least I didn't turn over to some reality show. But I did watch the second half. I watched it to the 88th minute. Saw Hamer smash that one into the top corner. Watching it through gritted teeth, it was pretty tough going. Yeah. So as good as it was on Saturday, just absolutely dire on Wednesday, and we're back to square one, aren't we? You know, we thought we might have seen the green shoots of recovery, but no, we are back to playing really, really poorly. To mitigate some of the points made, and whether Mousinho was thinking this prior to the game or not, his explanation for putting Murphy on the right was that their right back pushes right up to support their winger, and he didn't want Murphy pinned back, so he wanted him free and in the game, so that's why he put him on the right up against a less adventurous left back. But that meant Bianchini was left not being able to keep hold of the ball because he gave it away. I think there was one 5-minute spell where he gave it away every 30 seconds. And it was just really, really poor from him. And both wide men just literally lumped the ball into the stands or out for a corner every time they got the ball wide instead of producing some incisive crossing. So the move to the right clearly didn't work because Mousinho abandoned it after half an hour. And I think, to your other point, Jamie, about putting players on, I think he wanted to keep it tight to 60, 65 minutes, 1-0 down, and then try and have a go and get an equaliser. But of course, we conceded a stupid goal from a corner after 3 minutes of the second half. That was his plans out of the water again. So whatever he was planning to try and get his way through the game, he was foiled by poor play by his own team. So that was his explanations.
Well, this would probably make Reece laugh. I think I'm more positive than that. And so for me, I would be playing, if I think I've only got 20 minutes or 30 minutes from Lang, I'd bring Lang on for 30 minutes to start the game. I'd bring him on for that. I'd get the win. I'd go one up. I'd put the fear into them with the best players that I've got, and then you take it off. Because if you can destroy their morale within the first half, that's it. It's game over. And as for putting itsy bitsy teeny weeny down the wing with Bianchini on the left hand side, he doesn't work on the right hand side. He doesn't work on the left hand side. And you saying, "Oh, he gave the ball away." He always gives the ball away. For me, it's madness. Yeah.
I thought he had a good game on Saturday, Bianchini.
Yeah, so
he was all right. He was all right.
Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? We're in such a, and we're probably going to talk about this in like the next question, but we are in. I think you said, Phil, you did a really good summary actually on the WhatsApp group. If this happened a couple of days beforehand, or we would not be talking about this at all. And actually, when you look back on the season of where we are in a much better place than we were last season. End of. You can't complain that. So therefore, you have to say we have progressed. You cannot. The facts do not lie, but it's just I don't know whether it's the nature of the football where we just seem to take everything as one game. Where actually we need to look at the kind of the long term and actually players coming back and say last year we had, I think it's Murphy and Lang were playing most of the games, weren't they? Where they haven't been recently. So I think next 5 games will tell a lot, but I think we'll be in a much better position. So is that a nice segue into, are we in a crisis?
Okay, marginally better, but yeah, I take your point. I take your point. Right, so so the next part of the pod, as I alluded to at the start, was the question: Pompey in crisis. So as we just said,
not.
5th from bottom. Well, let's talk about it first, Reece. It's not a yes or no vote. It doesn't make a very good podcast. We all just go yes, no, and move on. So we're 5th from bottom, 17 points, 15 goals scored, 2 points above Oxford, who are just above Sheffield United, who are in the bottom 3. Obviously, we're only playing for 2 relegation places rather than 3 this season. I think the administrator alluded to more points deductions in January for Sheffield Wednesday, which really would kill off any slight hopes they had of getting out of their trouble. Currently, the only teams in worse form than us are Norwich and Sheffield Wednesday, who are currently below us. And as you rightly said, Jamie, creating chances is a massive problem. Bishop's not scoring because we can't get in the ball in the box in a decent position. I think the last time that actually happened, he scored, and that was away at West Bromwich Albion with a great flicked header into the corner. So what's gone wrong in that phase of play? Why are we not able to attack as efficiently as we did before? Is it a lack of personnel? Is it Mourinho changing the front line too often? Is it us trying to shoe-in Chaplin for 5 or 6 games when it just wasn't working? I'll start with you, Phil. What do you think has gone wrong over the last since Leicester, basically?
I think we've not been able to find the right balance, and we've not been able to find the right personnel for the right positions. And this is some of the stuff that came out in the Q&A with the Trust Q&A with John Messino and Rich Hughes and Andy Cullen earlier in the week. Our success from last season, or our best performances from last season, were where we were pressing higher up the pitch, starting the game very aggressively, and doing it with players who are capable of doing that. And that was the likes of Murphy, Lang, and Ritchie. They were, and Colby Bishop, who obviously leads the press. Now, the players that we've got to come in when those players are either left the club or injured aren't the sort of players that can work in that environment. So already we're not playing as aggressively. We're not so much on the front foot, and we're not pressing from the front. The other problem we've got is none of the players who we've brought in are able to deliver a ball into the box in the way that, say, Murphy could. I mean, Lang's a bit more direct and running with the ball rather than a winger, the traditional sense across the ball. But the thing we've really missed is Murphy's balls into the box. And the players that have come in for him across the front line, you've got Yang, who that's not part of his game really. Segacic, that's not part of his game. Chaplin, that's certainly not part of his game. Koznovsky, when he was put out on the right, it's not part of his game. So we're set up to play in a certain way, but the personnel, once you lose a few of them, we just don't have the personnel to replicate that. So we're not able to bring in like for like, and I think that's arguably the biggest problem we've got.
But how have we come to that if we've had a whole summer transfer window to obviously another question, actually, I'll come to you, Jamie, about this one, is the right wing problem, which is obviously we've had that all season. I think Lang had made a massive case for him to play on the right after his really good performance against Oxford, and obviously he got injured for quite some time. So I think we've been trying to find a solution to that. Are we missing Ritchie's experience on that right? Are we missing with Marlon Pack not playing, you don't have that championship experience in the team in order to organise people and pull people around and get them to be organised. Because one of the things we mentioned last season, obviously Ritchie scored a few goals. He didn't produce an assist until Norwich, but what we were impressed with was his organisation abilities, his talking, his berating of referees, his berating of opposition players? Are we missing that experience from a player like him?
So, I'm not very good with the physical aspect of the game. I like a really good goal when I see one. I can appreciate that, but I don't always pick up on things like tactically that you guys will, and like so. But when you say it, I'll realize like, oh yeah, okay. But I think one of my strengths, or how I see the game differently, is the psychological aspect. Like I mentioned earlier on, with like Murphy going over to the right hand side, and yeah, to stay topical before I go off on a tangent there. Missing a player like Richie, missing a leader, missing somebody that's giving his teammates confidence, giving them a bit of a rocket up the arse. And I said that if you go back to the earlier podcast when we first found out about Richie, I said that he would grab the game by the scruff of the neck and take everyone with them. And Pack, when he was fitter and before he lost his, I think Pack's lost his confidence. I think he's a cracking player, but I think the fans got on his back, and he's lost his confidence a bit. I think so. The tangent I'm going to go off now. I think that's what's going on with Colby Bishop as well. I think the minute Connor Chaplin came into the squad, suddenly he was like, "Oh, hang on, I'm not." He is still the star man, but he knew that there was another, potentially a more on paper our most expensive or valuable player is, it plays in the exact same position, or should be playing, hasn't been given a single minute in that position by our manager for whatever reason. But I think Colby's like psychologically, Colby's now thinking, rather than thinking, I'm going to get goal, he's thinking, I've got to get a goal because of this. And I think it just takes your mind off of it a little bit more. It takes you off your game. And when you're in the zone, you're not looking over your shoulder, you're looking forward. And so I think that there's that going on. But yes, to answer your question, categorically, I do think there is a massive problem going on there with confidence. But another issue I think we've got is that we are trying to play a bit of a hoofball game. We're not trying to play beautiful to the man, to the feet football, which I think we did play during the first half of the League One season going up. I really liked the style of play. It reminded me of the Paul Cook era, and a bit of the Harry Redknapp era of pinging the ball about and just pissing off the opposition and making them run around for it. We seem to have stopped that. We seem to be just, the ball comes into the defence. We just try and hoof it straight out. The ball, it's all quickly. Let's try and get it down to Murphy down the ring. But the problem we've got is Bishop is what, 5'11". Chaplin's 5'6". Segacic is. We don't have the forward players to play hoofball. You've got two giant defenders in defence. Colby's not going to get a crap load of goals when you're playing him as a target man. To me, where he gets the best. Yes, that man can head a ball in the back of the net, but he doesn't tend to do a lot of it from direct crosses. It's almost as if it will be a rebound off of something that someone wasn't expecting, so he hasn't got a giant defender marking him, and then he'll get it, or he'll get to it before the defender. And to me, we aren't playing to the strength of the players we've got. We're playing a formation and a style that we've decided we're going to stick to, and then we've bought some players that don't necessarily fit into that. And I think players like Segacic, like Chaplin, they can knock the ball round on the floor. In the air, I think we're struggling with it, and I genuinely think that's our issue at the moment. But I will go back and say, I started this by saying that I don't see the technical game as much as you guys, so you are more than welcome to disagree with me.
No, I couldn't argue with any of that, Jamie. Maybe Phil will. He's got his hand up.
Yeah, no, I think we do play to Colby's strength. I think Colby's strength is the fact that Colby's strength is his strength. The role of the number 9's changed completely over the last sort of few seasons. They're not out and out goal scorers, and his role is to get the ball with his back to goal and bring others into play. To that end, particularly when we had Lang playing closer to him, that was great because Lang would sort of buzz around him like a little hornet, and he'd be picking off the knockdowns and flick-ons, which is something that Colby's great at. He's not the tallest, as you say, and he's not the most dominating there, but he does hold the ball up well. He does bring other players into it. I think that I don't see any way that we brought in Connor Chaplin as an alternative to him. I thought we brought him in as someone to supplement him. I'm disappointed that we've not seen him play in a 10, playing off of him, because I would have thought, like most people, that would have been his better position. But Mousinho's got his reasons for that. He spoke about them, about how he didn't want him to play as an out-and-out winger, wanted him to start wide and come inside. And for whatever reason, it's not worked out with Chaplin, and that's sort of clear to see. I don't have a problem with the way we play. There's just a few areas where we're not really making the most of it.
So I would swap them round. Sorry to cut. I would swap them round, and like to me, there what you just said, Phil, about Bishop holds up the ball well. He brings in other players. For me, I would play him as the number 10. I'd play him as a number 10.
No.
Someone else, give someone else. I'd give.
We tried that. We tried that with Kirk up front, and it didn't work.
Yeah, but that's Kirk. We've got a £10 million Connor Chaplin, who we know, we've seen him
10 million
coach goals.
10 million. Are you his agent, Jamie?
Well, how much did he sign for when he went?
That's up there with Scott claiming that who was the guy, the French one, O'Sheesh, about him trying to get into the French World Cup squad.
I would play Bishop
Still
as the
time,
10.
Phil.
And I think that would also throw the opposition, because they'd have their big defenders marking him, and suddenly if he's pulling back towards midfield and then they haven't got their eye on Chaplin. And Chaplin's a fast, nippy little bugger. That to me is the one thing I would like to see us try. And I've got a feeling we're not going to. I highly suspect he'll go back in January. I think that his manager's already said they want him back. So yeah.
Well, this leads me on nicely to my final question, which I've been trying to get in for 5 minutes, because you both raised Chaplin. So, Reece, the question I had was Chaplin wasted loan ? Has his recruitment upset our plan? So, obviously, we signed him like an hour or two before the end of the transfer window. Mousinho said he wasn't expecting it. He suddenly was landed a player of the supposed quality of Chaplin, £10 million, according to Jamie. It clearly hasn't worked for the reasons that Phil's outlined, is that we suddenly had a player which we hadn't planned on using. Mousinho has taken it at face value and tried to shoehorn him in. What do we do about Chaplin? Because it clearly has upset the plan we had of how to play the first half of the season.
Well, I mean, you're absolutely right. It hasn't worked, and I think we were only in for him when he knew he became available, and I think Mousinho probably thought Championship, Premiership player, added quality to the squad. If we can get him, why not? But yeah, it's just been a challenge getting him far in the right system, and it's clear we haven't got him doing that. I don't think that means he won't. I mean, I'm sure Chaplin is equally frustrated as we are. I'm sure as a homeboy he's from Worthing, he would have wanted to come into the club, made a massive impact, scored some goals, and really lifted the place. So I'm sure he's as equally disappointed as the fans are and Mousinho are. But what do we do? That I honestly don't know. I mean, I think the number 10 position would be better for him. I don't agree we should put him up front and swap Bishop around. I think Bishop does that holding role really, really well. I think if you get maybe when Lang is back, maybe it's a Segacic Chaplin shootout, but he's a baller. Get him on the ball. So that number 10 does seem to be his best position, but it's inadvertent. I don't think upset the squad is probably the wrong word, because it implies it's all bad and negative. I think unbalance the squad is probably a better word. We just got to work out whether it's working. I guess the question is, he's probably on a fair whack. If somebody else we think is better comes available, would we get rid of it? If so, if a centre back came available and it was him or Chaplin, we'd probably take a centre back, wouldn't we? All day long. So difficult one for the manager to sort out. Not a great position that we wanted or we were hoping for. But I don't think it's as bleak as it. Well, that's it, game over. I think maybe he gets a goal and he might just fire. No. But sad for
fingers
him.
crossed.
Sad for him.
Fingers crossed. I think it's puzzling, isn't it, that he hasn't shown any type of quality wherever he's played. And I don't know how much he played. He didn't play that much in the Premiership for Ipswich. Obviously played a part in their promotion, but I think he was Liam Delap and a couple of other forwards. So I don't think, like him and Harness, I don't think they played an awful lot in their Championship season. So it's possibly a little bit of hype that yes, he was a Premiership player with Ipswich and got promoted the season before, and obviously he's one of our own, even though he's from Worthing. It's kind of this myth has grown up about him coming to the club that just has fizzled out completely, and perhaps that's what's happened to the management as well, that they've bought into that idea that we could have that extra bit of quality we weren't expecting, but it just has tripped us up really. Phil, I understand you have a quiz to take us into the second half of the pod tonight, so lay it on us, please.
I do indeed. So obviously we've not quite as much as I'd expected us to be, but we've been moaning about players recently. Players not being up to the job.
There's more to come. There's more to come.
Yes. Well, I'll preempt that with a little quiz, which is hopefully going to point out things aren't quite as bad as we think they are at the moment. Because I've been putting together some of our most unpopular and worst signings of our lifetimes, and forming
Excellent.
a couple of 3 little six-a-side teams with a manager. So each of you is going to get a squad to name. You've got a manager, a goalkeeper, 2 defenders, 2 midfielders, and a striker. And we're going to see how you get on. I'm going to give you a clue. You've got to tell me whether you know who they are. So we're going to start with you, Jamie, if you're ready. So your team is managed by a man who came highly recommended by Steve Coppell, only lasted 20 games, of which he won 4.
The one after Whittingham. Oh, what's his name?
Woof.
Barker.
Very good. A great clue as well.
And you could see my hands the whole time there. There was no Googling going on.
And your goalkeeper was signed for a then club record of 1.8 million. But he struggled to reach the crossbar in a six-a-side match.
Kawaguchi.
Absolutely.
You're flying.
Next one, tall centre-back, signed by Graham Ricks, 19 dismal appearances in 2 years, and he was known as the Weatherman.
Cole. That's my era
You
as
really
well.
Go on, Jamie.
Does my roof need fixing?
No, sorry. No,
Go on, tell him, Reese.
Carl Tyler.
Tyler. That's my era too. That's the era I always take over Football Manager. I should have got that.
And his partner at the back, another centre-back, broke his ankle and got sent off in one move on his debut. Never recovered.
He stumped as well. The only other defender I can think of is Zamperini, and it's definitely not him.
Much more recent than that.
What, the play with Carl Tyler?
No, he didn't actually play with Carl Tyler. This isn't a real six-a-side team.
Oh. So, right, okay.
Can we have the instructions before the podcast, please?
Yeah. No, I don't know.
Is Tom McIntyre.
Of course.
Currently plying his trade at Bradford City.
Yeah.
Next up, a winger signed from Southampton by Jim Smith, nicknamed Chicken. Or giving you a massive clue, his full nickname was Chicken George.
She rings a bell. All I can think, it was a strike. I could only think of the striker, which was Colin Dobbin. What was his name?
His surname's one of the best pubs in Portsmouth.
Dave Mother Shipton. Fawcett. So it's somebody Fawcett, yeah?
Sorry,
Fawcett is the best pub name in Britain, let alone...
Bit further down from the Fawcett, Jamie.
Bit
further down the road.
Tell him, Scott. Go on.
Yeah, go on.
George Lawrence.
George Lawrence, Chicken George.
So Chicken George obviously is a Roots reference.
Partner in crime in midfield, Slovenian national hero, nicknamed Turbo, but the only speed we ever witnessed from him was when he jumped out of tackles.
Oh, God, I know this one as well. I've forgotten his term. Yeah, Reese. Oh.
Turbo Rudy.
No, I'm gonna pass.
That was...
For the fluidness of the show, I'm gonna pass.
Reese, you seem to be chomping at the bit.
It's Rudy. Turbo Rudy was his nickname, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Is it Redonia or something like that?
That's
wasn't
right.
it?
That's right. Mladen
You still
Redondo.
haven't given out. You still haven't given out those knickknacks you got, Phil. Remember that
the
anecdote you told us
bookmarks.
about? Yeah. Have you still got some?
They're long gone. Long gone, unfortunately.
Okay. All right.
And your final one, your striker, Jamie, I think you're going to get this one. A lumbering centre forward whose unpaid £1.25 million transfer fee landed Pompey with transfer embargo, played his best game for us as a makeshift centre back.
The ginger fella.
No.
Paid.
I think I know, but I'm not. I'm 70%.
Shares his surname with an old woman who plays piano, records of which often found in charity shops.
What? I'm sure that is an amazing clue, but what? No, don't know.
Mrs. Mills, Lee Mills.
Lee Mills.
I've got
So my clue was going to be one half of a romantic pamphlet author publisher.
See, what you should have said was he was banging Leslie Ash.
No, that wasn't him.
That was
Was
him.
it?
That was Lee Mills. No, not Lee Mills.
Anyway, moving on.
It was a Sheffield Wednesday Lee Chapman. You're
Lee
thinking
Chapman. Oh yeah. All right, yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to you then, Reese, and which will be ironic for matters of which will become apparent shortly. So, Reese, starting off for your manager, a deeply unpopular protege of Terry Venables, fans showed their disdain for him for holding up cards with his name in the wrong order.
of. Baswick. Terry
Baswick.
Fennick.
Yes,
Terry
very
Fennick.
good. Next up, giant Greek goalkeeper, who for some reason we thought was better than Shaka Hislop. He wasn't.
Chalkias. Crikey,
Yeah.
he was terrible.
All right. Funny-looking bald scummer who somehow made 77 appearances at left back.
Oh yeah, the only one Pompey scummer. I don't remember his name. Bawley signed him, didn't he?
Yeah, looked like Nosferatu.
Yeah, was it Matt somebody? I honestly can't remember his name, but I'll remember it when you tell me.
Go on then, Scott.
Robinson.
It
Matt
was
Robinson.
Matt Robinson.
Yeah,
Matt Robinson, yeah.
Okay, bit of a couple of tough ones coming up here. Centre back signed on a free from Blackburn by Kenny Jackett to be rock at the centre of the defence. He was hopeless.
Can't even think that. Not a clue.
Anyone? Paul Downing,
No.
on loan winger whose disallowed offside goal at home to Peterborough all but condemned Pompey to another season in League One.
No, not a clue.
Double-barrelled surname. First name member of the Young Ones.
Rick?
Okie dokie, Richie matey.
No, I don't. I think no, I don't know.
It was.
I remember the goal.
Solomon Otterboy.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the goal that what's his face should have shot rather than passed.
That's right. Yeah. All right. French cult. I've got to say this carefully. Cult hero from Newcastle, signed to provide flair and excitement, delivered sulking and petulance.
Robert Robert.
Very good. Finally, Reese, and this is a tough one for you. Your striker, married to an actress from Quadrophenia and men behaving badly, who may have cheated on him with Eric Cantona.
Would that be Lee Chapman by any chance?
Very good. So a mighty 4 for you, Reese. So the bar's been set quite medium for you, Scott.
Yeah, I'm not going to get it, but go on.
All right. So, okay, let's kick things off with your manager. Friend of Milan Mandaric, brought in as director of football, promptly announced, I am a soldier of the team. I accept every job they give me, when he replaced Harry Redknapp as manager.
Velimir Ziyech.
Oh,
yeah, well done.
You met him, Jamie. What was he like?
Do you know what? I've got it wrong. I didn't meet him. I met Perrin, and that's who I thought the answer was.
Me and Darren Lamb got quite close to the dugout of Fulham. We somehow got hospitality tickets right in the old Thames stand, which is right behind the dugout. When we went 2-0 down at Fulham, we launched ourselves out of our seats, ran down to the front behind the dugout, launched a tirade of abuse at him, and then ran out. I think he was sacked 3 days later because he wouldn't bring Steve Stone on. But anyway, carry on.
Your part in his downfall.
Well, a smidge, yeah, maybe.
All right, next up. On signing this player from Chesterfield, Paul Cook said that this supposedly attack-minded fullback would establish himself as a fan favourite. He didn't.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Signed him from Chesterfield. No, don't know that one.
It's Drew Talbot.
Yes,
I met him, and he seemed like a very nice man. This defender is the partner in defence here. This defender rinsed the club for every shekel he could while the club was in administration. Refused to accept the payoff. Universally hated.
Yeah. Tal Benhaim.
Absolutely. Okay, Scott, you're on a roll now. Agricultural fullback signed on loan from Stoke was awful. Inexplicably returned on loan from his next club, Watford, and was even worse.
It's Robinson, isn't it?
No, he's the ball scummer.
No, we had another one. We had another one called Robinson from Watford. I'm confusing the two. Go on, tell me.
It's Carl Dickinson. So close.
Dickinson.
Yeah, right.
And his return on loan. He played 5 games. We lost all 5, and he got 4 bookings.
He was the stereotypical bald nutter, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. So next up in midfield, got an ever-present winger for a season on loan from Blackpool in 2022-23. The epitome of no-end product, but according to my wife, a lovely man who smelled very nice.
Owen Dale.
Yes, Owen Dale.
Captain Stepover.
Right. No pressure, Scott. You get both of these, you win. So,
okay.
In midfield, an Arsenal loanee who's thought to be the next big thing when brought in by Danny Cowley. His ego far outweighed his talent, now at Morecambe.
Aziz?
Yes, very good. Micheal Eisners.
Yeah, I thought didn't know if it was Miguel, but yeah.
Which puts you on level terms with Reese with 1 question to go. So you've got your striker here. Brought in for I think you're going to get this. Brought in from Leeds to replace Mickey Quinn. Made 1 goal in 20 appearances. Got sent back to Leeds for half the price.
Ian Baird.
Yes, very good. And who had the fantastic nickname Ian Bad.
Ian Bad, yeah.
5 points, Scott. You are the winner.
Yay.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I didn't expect that. Well, I was getting a lot of Jamies and Reese's, so I thought I was going to get all the ones that were really, really hard, but thankfully not. Thanks for that, mate. So we go on to I've got you working hard tonight, Phil. You were at the PST meeting on Monday, weren't you?
I was.
And there was a few things that you messaged me about. There's a few things that you hinted at that I'd want you to obviously tell the listeners. Obviously, what Micheal Eisner did his annual PST message, which I'm sure quite a few people have seen so far. But we're going to go into that after we've covered the meeting. So obviously on the panel were Rich Hughes, John Massigno and Andy Cullen, the director and manager and director of football. So tell us what they had to say rather than and we'll cover what Michael had to say in his video after that.
What did they have to say? Well, as ever, they all came across incredibly well. They didn't shy from any questions. They were incredibly personable, talked at length about various things to do with the club. One of the things I think I mentioned that you were alluding to, Scott, was a question that John Massigno was asked was, and we talked about it briefly earlier. Somebody asked him, why is it that last season we were playing real sort of front-footed, high-pressing football, and this season, and creating lots of chances and being quite attack-minded, this season we don't seem to be doing it? And he said probably a lot more eloquently than I could. He was saying that that his biggest frustration, and I guess this comes from being a defender himself, his biggest frustration this last season was not only the number of goals we conceded, but the number of games that we played and that we were completely blown out the water in. And he said a lot of the reason for that was we had players playing on quite very high up pitch, very front-footed, and there were times that the great thing about pressing obviously is you're pushing forward, you're pinning players back. He said, but if you come up against a team that can play around the press, you're in trouble. And a lot of the games came from that happening. So he said they made a conscious effort this season to look to be more resilient at the back, not necessarily be more defence minded, but be a lot tighter. And by doing that, there was emphasis on the wide players to play deeper and to help out the fullbacks. And he was saying to an extent, he said so far that's worked. And he rightly pointed out, and bearing in mind this is before the Sheffield United debacle, he said the only game this season where we've shipped a load of goals was the Birmingham City game, and in fact. There's only been 2 games this season that we've lost by, at this point, we've lost by more than 1 goal. So I think the point he made was excellent. He said that's what we've been trying to do, and what we've had to sacrifice is our attacking threat. And he said it's a real challenge, and particularly with the players that we've got at the moment that have been fit, to find that balance. And as we were saying earlier, he was saying that when we were at our best last season. And when we were pressing from the front, we had Colby leading the press. We had Matt Ritchie, we had Callum Lang, and we had Josh Murphy. And the players that he's had to replace them with, for one reason or another, don't seem able to sort of maintain that press. He's very keen, he said, with the players that he's brought that coming back, that we now sort of the second half of the season try to redress that and play a bit more front-footed, play a bit higher up the pitch. So hopefully we're going to see more of that once we get those players back into the team.
So another thing you mentioned about the Q&A was the transfer focus in January.
Yes.
So Micheal Eisner alluded to that in his message as well.
Yeah. So Micheal had said, I think He talked quite a lot in his. Well, I'm sure we'll go on to talk about this later. But he talked quite a lot about the January window and how he was asking Breck, "Is everyone talking about the January window, Breck?" And then he was saying about buying young. What was it?
Aggressive.
Yeah. And after that, when we cut over to the Q&A, from that to the Q&A, I think Donald, the PST chair, had asked a question around the transfer, the transfer plans for January, and had referenced this. Rich Hughes sort of chuckled and went, "Yeah, that's news to me." They then went on to talk about how they saw the January working. They pointed to last season and said, last season we found that there were areas of the team that we needed sort of a short-term fix. So that was why they brought in Cohen Bramall, who had a bit of experience at that level, and we needed someone on the left. And so that's why we brought in Isaac Hayden, because he had the experience in the centre of midfield. And the suggestion seemed to be that they were looking primarily at short-term deals and loans to bolster the squad, because obviously we've got these players coming back from injury. So reading between the lines, I would expect the transfer window to be rather similar to last year's, in that they'll be looking to bring in a bit of strength in depth where it's needed. And maybe these sort of young, aggressive players are going to be ones for the future.
And the last thing that you mentioned, I think, as well, is the academy. You said interesting conversation, and the fact that the academy had received an award for being best in class, apparently. And that's category 2, isn't it?
It's category 3. I think we're cat 3.
Right. Okay. Currently.
But I don't know what the award was or who judged it, but they did say that the academy picked up an award, and that they're seeing some of the shoots of their I won't say investment, but their development within the academy. That there's been players that have been that have been training with the first team, either to make up sort of numbers or with a view to sort of being on the bench. Like Ashton Sizer, I think, was on the bench the other day with the young striker, whose name I forgot, who scored in the cup for us on his debut. And so they're saying there's encouraging players. There's encouraging signs that there are players coming through the academy. But what they also said was it is something of a lottery. And I think what John Messina was referring to primarily, he said that all of they talk a lot to different people at different clubs, particularly in the academy setups, and you hear about the names that people are talking about. The players that are playing academy football are getting into under 21 squads, international under 21 squads, things like that. And they talked about 2 players in particular. They said that Dane Scarlett, when we took him on loan, was considered to be one of the sort of hottest properties in academy, or to come out of academy football. And obviously it's not happened, but it certainly didn't happen for him at Pompey. I think he's sort of trying to rebuild his career a bit now, but it's not it's not really happened for him. The other one was Cade Gordon, who was sort of a blink who you miss him, who we had on loan from Liverpool, and he had the reputation again of being one of the most promising talents. And they said they were saying that whilst everyone loves to see players come through, and like Connor Chaplin, for example, to come through the system and represent the club, the jump from academy football to men's football is such a huge one. It's something of a gamble. And the other issue they have, of course, is that once you do start producing talent, they quite often just get cherry picked by bigger clubs who can just stockpile these players. So they were talking also about an unnamed academy who had produced a lot of England players recently. I should have looked to sort of try and work out who that was, but they were saying again with them, they said they were finding that the bigger teams are just taking their players for peanuts. So
it's almost certainly Bournemouth, isn't it? Because they've got Alex Scott, who's a current under-21 international, and I think they've got a couple of other foreign under-21s as well, aren't they? So I suspect that's Bournemouth.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Yeah, you've done more research than me there, Scott. Well done.
No, it's just the Alex Scott thing. It was just the Alex Scott thing that made sense, really. You know, when you said current internationals, then Alex Scott he played in the Euros in the summer and won it with England. I don't think Bournemouth have any current England internationals, youth or otherwise. So sorry, Brighton. So it's got to be Bournemouth. Jamie, so one of the things that Phil said there is about the overall transfer focus. In part of Michael's message to fans, he joked with his son Brick that the January's window focus, have you been going around the ground of fans of asking for 25 great players? And then he reiterated that we'd be looking for loans in January where we need them, as we did last season. Overall, we've always had concerns about the way that they do their business, and this confirmation or throwaway comment from Micheal Eisner about the fact that they want young, aggressive players. I presume from that he meant hungry rather than aggressive. So one thing I said to Phil was if I were at the PST meeting, I would try and ask a question, and that would be, when will the club have a grown-up conversation with the fan base about spending the correct amount of money in order for us to progress in the Championship? I'd like your thoughts on that particular point, please.
It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen under this owner. He is never going to spend the money required that the club needs. He's got it in his head that he doesn't need to. I think that's what he enjoys. You know, that's it. Like he said himself. He doesn't know much about soccer. He doesn't know much about soccer, but that man knows a bargain. He knows. If you look at the films that Disney churned out under his tenure, he would create stars. He didn't hire really expensive actors. He created stars by putting them in those films, and the man is a world class businessman. There's no shadow of a doubt that he bought Portsmouth for 5.6 whatever it is, 6-7 million. The man knows a bargain. He likes a bargain. He doesn't spend money. If you look at his when they run the Angels, the fans complained about that as well. That he talked a good game, but he never bought any great players. And I'm sure that's going to allude to something else that's on your mind as well about one of his comments at the.
Well, that's the thing. You did some excellent research about the anecdote. So he started off that section about spending money and mitigating it by saying, well, when we bought the Anaheim Angels, we spent $100 million on a first baseman who he didn't name, but we're pretty sure we know who it is. And he said he was out for the season because he fell into the home dugout in the first match. He then got other injuries in the second season, and in the third season he put on a load of weight. So clearly he wasn't a fan of Mo Vaughan, who you unearthed, Jamie. Well done. But that's not necessarily the truth, is it? It's quite a long way from the truth.
Yeah, it's a complete and utter lie, and that's what pisses me off. And then that's the contempt he's got for us, as he thinks. I mean, I don't know. Maybe maybe he doesn't use Google. Maybe he does. Maybe that was before his time, and he's from an era where you can just talk absolute nonsense and get away with it. But And we've seen him do this before when he signed other players. He said, we spent millions on players. We've spent this, we've done that. For some reason, I don't know if it's an American thing, I don't know if it's just something he does, but he seems to include the players' wages in the value when he talks about signing a player. Like I'm sure he did it with Marquis, and I've heard him. I've heard him do it before, and he'll say, "Oh no, we're spending million." The players' wages aren't the transfer fee, and he said, on the, anyone can go back and watch this video. It's in the public domain. He said it the other night at the PST thing. He said, he'd gone out and he bought a £100 million first baseman. He said, first of all. It wasn't him. It was Disney. It was Disney's money. It wasn't him. It wasn't the Eisners. It wasn't Taranto, whatever they're called. It was Disney's money. They didn't spend 100 million. It was an undisclosed fee. Surprise, surprise. Where have we heard that one before? It was an undisclosed fee. So what it was over the period of 6 years, and I don't think he was with them for 6 years, he could have earned 80 million. Knowing Eisner, there was probably caveat clauses and all sorts in there, and I doubt the guy ever did. Judging that he apparently only played 3 seasons for them anyway, he didn't. He wouldn't have earned that 80 million. So I'm gonna be fair to Eisner here and say that they probably paid $11 million for him. Yeah, so that would have been his 80 million in could have earned wages plus the 11 they probably paid for him, and he's rounding up that 91 to 100. But what they actually did was sign a player, and then he said, "What else?" He said, "Oh yeah, he got injured in the first game. This is how we tracked him down. He did get injured. Mo Vaughan got injured during his first game, and he fell into the dugout, injured his foot, and was then out for the next few games. But Eisner said he was out for the rest of the season, which is rubbish. He went on to play. I think you found this, Reece, wasn't it? Another 40 games. That's it. Somebody.
No, it was 139, I think it was.
Yeah,
he's quite prolific.
They're big seasons.
Yeah. And Eisner made out that he was injured for both those 2 seasons, and then he, well, I'm not going to. Far be it from me to moan at another man for putting on £40, and that's what annoys me. So Eisner has lied to the Portsmouth fan base. I'm not going to mince my words, and please don't sue me, Eisner. I've got no money for you to have, but it was fibs, mate. You've not told the truth there. You said you spent 100 million on a player, and you didn't. And you've done that to tantalise and tease the Portsmouth fans that you're going to do this yourself for us at some point in the future. That's the reason that I sold the club to you, mate, was because you said, "Oh, we're going to do it. It's going to, might not be today. We're not going to spend money hand over fist." You haven't spent money fist over hand. You haven't spent any money whatsoever on that damn pitch. You've done us proud with the ground, but if you're not going to have a go for the football inside, sell it on to someone else who wants to have a good go at it. Who's going to put some money in that pitch and does want to get in the Premier League? I love you. I think you're a charming old bastard, but you are not spending any money on that on that pitch.
Before you come in, Reece, I was going to set you up with a question anyway.
Yeah,
so
okay. All right.
Just give us a second. So it is a convenient anecdote to try and explain why you don't want to spend a lot of money on a marquee player. Yeah. However, he did say at the Guildhall meeting that the combined strategy would be to buy marquee players, develop from the academy, and also bring in experienced pros. Jamie's quite right. He's hoisted by his own petard there. He has stretched the truth quite a bit with Mo Vaughan. But what I wanted you to comment on is that another thing that he said about the losses in the Championship are difficult, and that's why they don't want to jump into the pool. But he seemed to have hung his hope on the regulator, which is it in law yet, Phil? Do we actually have a regulator? I know government have voted on it, but I don't know whether there is actually a regulator yet.
Yeah, I've never appointed. Someone's been appointed, but I mean it's very early days.
Exactly. So
I just have one thing to say, though, Scott. I think when he said marquee player, I think he was just misreading the auto cue, and he said a Marquis player. And everyone's gone with that.
We've got that, so that's gone now. We can't have any more Marquis or marquee players. So Reece, this thing about the regulator and him hanging his hat on all of a sudden it being a level playing field in a couple of years' time. Again, it really is the stuff of fantasy, I think.
I don't know. I personally took the Vaughan story as a demonstration of how you can spunk a load of money and it's wasted. Not that he was trying to encourage or think fans that we were going to spend a load of money. I honestly don't think he will. I mean, I think we've got to realise is, and I disagree with Jamie in that we haven't spent enough. I'm sorry, I think we have, because we're still in the division and we survived last year. Therefore, we spent enough money to stay in the division. That was last year's aim. This year's aim is to finish a bit higher. And we can't judge that until the end of the season. The question is, what happens after 3 or 4 seasons when we're progressing, pressing, and then we probably are going to have to start spending more money to get the better players to then take us up the division. He has said Premiership in 8 years. He's put it on record. He's also said again we won't get relegated. Until that actually happens, I think it's unfair to criticise him because he is spending enough. I'm not saying he's spending loads, but he is spending enough. As for the regulator, yes, I think it's clear that is in his thinking. He will look at people like Bristol City and Stoke, where they've spunked hundreds of millions of pounds and they're mid-table. And I get where he's coming from. He's trying to be financially prudent, and he's very trusting of his employees. He knows he's not crikey. There have been chairmen in the past who think they know about football, influence team decisions and things, and we all hated that. Now we've got a chairman who actually trusts his team. He doesn't need to know about football because he's not managing the club on a day-to-day basis. Messino, Cullen and Hughes do. But yeah, as I said, the comment earlier about we're discussing a very small part of the season. If we had this discussion 2 days ago, we wouldn't be having the same discussion after a game we lost 3-0 again at a team we haven't won a ground we haven't won in 70 years against 10 men. So whether the football regulator will come along soon enough, I don't know. It is clear he's looking to make it a little bit more of a level playing field. But I think for the moment, personally, I'm happy with where we are. I think the crutch will come when we've, similar with League One, we've been in for like it being there for 4 years, hopefully. Then where are we going? Because you've got to say the spend has got to increase, and whether he will or not, I honestly don't know. I don't know. He might do, but he's always, as Jamie said, he's a good businessman. I think he's come in and managed a club as he said he would. Yes, things haven't gone great with the academy and other things, but I trust him at the moment. And until he gives me good reason not to trust him, then I think we'll march forward. But the reality of what I think and actually what happens is different, isn't it? So we'll just have to wait and see. Let's have a conversation at the end of the season, and I'll be wrong or someone else will be wrong. So,
well, this is why I love our group, because we do love to disagree respectfully but fervently, and it's good to have a lot of different views because trust me, a lot of the pods out there they don't give this depth of discussion and various views. So this is why I wanted to do it, is because I knew we'd have a little bit of a dust up, which is good. But he did say no more spend on infrastructure because they think they've completed what they need to do at Fratton Park. What that means for the future North Stand development, which was the next phase, I don't know. That I guess that depends on the work with Southwest Trains and local stakeholders. But he did say spending focus would be on the pitch. So you take that at face value. What that means in relation to how it increases or where it increases or what they do, I don't know. But we do have a number of young players who haven't really made the first team. So if you look at Franco Ume, Harvey Blair, Awani Boat, I mean, Devlin's obviously the one that's come through in the last couple of years that we signed as a young player and looks every bit the future goalkeeper of Portsmouth Football Club that he could be. So, it can work and it does work. It's just that our hit rate for bringing youth players.
Was that just me, or did you just say Devlin was the future goalkeeper of our football club?
Well, it was a great save. You pushed it over the bar the other night.
Sorry. Brilliant. Genius. Went straight over my head. Well done, mate.
I didn't think it was that subtle a joke, Jamie, but obviously it was. So I guess they've proved it can work, but I guess the frustration is that it doesn't work often enough, and that's the problem. If there were fruits being shown us coming through. Like if Harvey Blair was steaming down the right wing and doing as much damage as Murphy was on the left, then we'd be all lapping it up and saying what a success this is. But it's not worked at the moment. So the last thing we want to do, it's a bit of a longer pod than usual, but just as dynamic and interesting as they always are, I think. We've got 5 games before Christmas Day. Bristol at home on Saturday, and then we're at Charlton away, Swansea home, Blackburn away, and Derby. I can't remember if Derby's at home or away. Can't remember. I think it's away. So
yeah,
2 home games there and 3 away games. I've titled the pod "Pompey In Crisis." A little bit of hyperbole there, but what do we need to get in the next 5 games, gents? And I'll go round each of you. Reece first. What do we need to get from those 5 games to settle the ship, to get to Christmas Day and go, thank God we're in this position?
I think get the key players back injured, the team performing and short at the defence is what I think we actually need to look at. But I mean, points wise, I mean, as you say, this weekend could go either way. I think for the next 4 games, you've got to be looking 8 points, maybe a couple away and 2 home wins, surely. I think that's what you've got to be aiming for at least. So it's a good opportunity for us, and maybe with all those kind of Lang coming back and Schmidt coming back and Murphy will hopefully get his fitness back, you've got to be optimistic. But I think you don't, I never like saying, oh, they're must-win games, and they're not. But this is a great opportunity to actually prove this. What's happened in the last 2 or 3 months has been very much injury focused, etc., etc. You get the best players back, and against the slightly lesser team, shall we say, we should be performing. But if we keep a level on the pitch and we play like that, like we did against Sheffield United, come the new year, it's going to be, we'll be in the relegated zone without a shadow of a doubt. So it'll be very, very tough. So. But I'm quite optimistic. Let's see what the next podcast comes up with, and let's see where we are with the results.
So you're going for 8 points there.
I'll go for 8 points.
Okay, Phil, you next, please.
I think we need to win our 2 home games. I think we need to win our 2 home games. I think that's a minimum. We're obviously not going to get anything at Charlton. I'm going. We never get anything at Charlton. As you know, my wife's a Charlton fan, so that's going to be fun. Although they're not exactly in a rich vein of form themselves at the moment.
No, they've conceded 6 goals in the first 30 minutes. Exactly, they've conceded 6 goals in the first 30 minutes of their last two games. So if that tells us anything, we need to go at them from minute 1 and see if we can get a couple of goals. Yeah, go on, carry on.
But yeah, I look at that. I think we need to get 7 points out of it, and I'd look at home wins against Bristol City and Blackburn, and a point away at Swansea. It would be nice. It would be nice to get 3 points at Swansea. It would be even nicer to get 3 points at Charlton. We know that's not going to happen, but I'd like to go the next 4 games unbeaten, but I don't think we will.
Jamie?
So then forgetting Derby away as well, I guess.
Yeah, Derby's just before Christmas. Yeah, so 5 games we got before then.
Yeah. Oh, so in that case, total number of points
still 7.
No, I'll go for 8. I'll go for 8. Two wins, 2 draws. Yeah.
I'm going to go.
We killed him.
I'm going 4 points. Yeah, I'm a spent force.
What would Mo Vaughan say?
Wow.
Ouch! That's my
he'd
foot.
He'd say, "Ouch! I've slipped. Pass me a hamburger
and some drugs."
Yeah, and some paracetamol. I was going to go for paracetamol, but yeah, you've hit the ball right out of the park there.
Well done. 4 points. Yeah.
So,
that's your shout. That's your shout.
We always lose to Charlton. Charlton are probably our biggest bogey side. They are, for me, that I can remember in recent history. I had a dream that we won our next home game 1-0. But it was also snowing in that dream, and I've seen the forecast, and it's not going to snow Saturday. I've put a 1-0 bet on, but hopefully we will build Bristol. I can't see us beating Swansea. We don't travel well, and I can just see
Swansea's at home, mate. Swansea's at home.
No, it isn't.
Sorry, Blackburn's at home. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at the fixture list. That's the only reason I've got any confidence. Blackburn, we could win that. We could, but it's going to be the point. So I'm going for the 3 points against Bristol. I'm going for a point against Blackburn, and I can see us losing the others. Yeah, and the next home game is obviously Boxing Day, which you could include.
Well,
That's against Charlton.
I wanted to go up to Christmas because the period last season up to Christmas we did really, really well. We had quite the dynamic December and put a lot of points on the board, dragged ourselves out of the bottom three, and went into Christmas in January with looking upwards rather than downwards. It didn't stay that way. We had a couple of wobbles, but we had a much better second half of the season than we did the first. I guess we've got to hope the same this season as well. I'm just as pessimistic as you, Jamie. Unfortunately, I don't see us getting more than one win and one draw, and I think that will really signal a crisis maybe, because I think then we would be in the bottom three and plummeting rather than going upwards. I mean, I'd be absolutely delighted if we get a couple of wins and a couple of draws, and that really would steady the ship, and we'd be at Christmas in a lot more better frame of mind, and we'd be looking at January and saying, right, okay, what can we do to bolster the team? But unfortunately, I'm really down and depressed about it at the moment after the game Sheffield United. That really did me in, and I'm struggling to see where we mentioned this creating chances. I can't see us suddenly turning that round. I think we've got to hope that Lang starts on Saturday. What he does with the right wing again, who knows? It'll probably be Bianchini, and we've just got to hope that we keep clean sheets, because we can't score. So I'm only going to go for 4 points as well, and we'll see where we are at Christmas. We might get away with it, and Norwich and Oxford are just as bad as us still, and we're hanging on in there. But I expect Sheffield United to overtake us. So thanks very much, guys. Absolutely brilliant pod again as usual. I'm sure it'll be a great listen. So thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your evenings, and
Jamie, I've got some hot off the presses news that's going to make you happy. Adrian Segicic has been awarded the goal.
Yay!
You're joking. That was it.
And on that
I've watched
bombshell.
that video.
And on that bombshell, we will end the pod. Thank you very much, Phil.
It's a goal.
Play up, Pompey, and a very good night to you all.